What's up, guys? We're back, and today we're going to be going over the SEC Conference Tournament predictions. As usual, let's just get straight into it with South Carolina versus Ole Miss. Um, two of the bottom teams in this conference, 4-14 for South Carolina, while Ole Miss was 3-15. Both teams finished 11-20 overall. South Carolina does probably the better dynamic duo of Michi Johnson and Gigi Jackson. Gigi Jackson was a great freshman this year, despite South Carolina being kind of bad. While Ole Miss is more just, I feel like they've been more consistent when they've been bad, honestly. And they've gotten they've beaten teams that are around their skill level. They beat South Carolina before, and they beat them by 12 in South Carolina, and then at home they lost to them by 3. And South Carolina has shown some glimpses of very good games. They beat Kentucky before. They took it really close to Alabama. But something's just telling me that South Carolina is not going to be able to perform in this tournament, and Ole Miss is going to get the better of them. I got Ole Miss moving on. Then we got Georgia versus LSU. Same thing here, kind of. LSU has probably, I would say, the better lineup, but Georgia is the better overall team for sure. They're 6-12 in the conference, while LSU is only 2-16. Georgia definitely has better wins, but LSU, I do like them at times, before conference play when they were like 13-0 or something, or 11-0. Really liked watching KJ Williams, Trey Hannibal. They got a solid shooter in Adam Miller on that team. LSU, I feel like they're going to be good enough to where they can at least get a win here. Their only wins in the conference, they beat Arkansas very, very early on, and they beat Vanderbilt. So it's 2 solid wins. It's just they've also lost to all the bad teams like Ole Miss. One time they played them, they lost to Georgia already. It's only 2-point loss though. That's why I feel like they definitely have a good chance of getting revenge on Georgia, and I got them moving on. And then we got Florida versus Mississippi State. Both, again, solid teams. The only thing about Florida is that Colin Castleton is out for the rest of the season, and that is a huge loss for them. That's their leading scorer. And that'd be the one guy that'd be guarding Tolu Smith. And Tolu Smith has definitely been one of the highlights of this Mississippi State team. Recently, Florida is on a 2-game winning streak, but both of those games are against Georgia and LSU, so it's nothing too crazy. And I mean, Florida still is a solid team. They still have Kyle Lofton, the transfer from, I think, say Bonaventure, who's been okay this season. He's been kind of underwhelming from what some people expected of him, but he still hasn't been like a bad player. He's obviously good. It's just been kind of underwhelming. And Mississippi State, Tolu Smith, I feel like he's going to dominate in this game. It's probably going to be a close game, but I feel like Mississippi State will be able to get the better of them. That brings us to Ole Miss versus Tennessee. Again, Ole Miss is pretty bad this year, 3-15 in the conference, while Tennessee's 11-7, 22-9 overall. Tennessee had a solid season, or has had a solid season. Recently, they've not gotten worse, but they went 4-6 in their last 10. So they've been dropping off. But right before that 10-game streak, right before those 10 games, they did beat Texas, which is a huge win for them. And they did beat Alabama as one of those 4 wins. They also beat Auburn. A couple of good wins there. It's just they also lost to Vanderbilt, Missouri, Florida. So it's like, they've just been somewhat inconsistent this year, and losing their point guards to Kai Ziegler is definitely going to hurt them, because now it's really just, Santel. Like, I feel like Tennessee, before they lost to Kai Ziegler, I didn't have much faith in them, especially come March Madness time, just because I feel like they just struggle scoring. They're 195th in points per game, which, so obviously they're not that great of a scoring team, but it's where their defense is that really makes up for that. I just feel that now losing to Kai Ziegler, they're going to be even more inconsistent and not going to be able to put together a big run to where they're going to move far in the March Madness tournament. With all that being said, though, I still believe they're going to be good enough to get a win over Ole Miss at least. Okay, whoops. Because it's Ole Miss. So Tennessee should definitely be able to beat them. They already beat them earlier in the season. But yeah. Then we got Auburn versus Arkansas. Auburn, has had kind of an inconsistency. Both teams have had pretty inconsistent seasons, I would say. Arkansas lost Nick Smith early in the season. He's back now, but they're just trying to fit him back in the rotation. He's definitely still been good, but it's a tough loss for him. They also lost Trevin Brazil for a little for I think he's not going to come back. That was a tough loss, but they still got Ricky Council the fourth, Anthony Black, good freshman, alongside Nick Smith, and Jordan Walsh is also on top of that, a good freshman. Then they got the Mitchell twins and Devontae Davis as a solid shooter. So like Arkansas is a solid team, but I feel like literally it's any other team other than Auburn, because Auburn isn't a great team either. I mean, they are a great team, but they're not like, they haven't been dominant and they've been pretty inconsistent this season. It's just I don't think Auburn has anyone that's actually, or not Auburn. I don't think Arkansas is gonna have anyone that's gonna be. I don't know, man. Auburn beat Tennessee. That they ended up the season on a win against Tennessee too. That's good for them. While Arkansas lost 3 straight, those were a tough last three in Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky. But you still would rather get at least one of those wins. All that being said, though, I still feel like Arkansas can get the better of Auburn if their guys are just playing on point. Like Arkansas moving on. Then we got LSU versus Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's definitely been one of the hottest teams coming in the tournament. They have won, I believe, their last 3. They've won 8 of their last 9. Their only loss going against LSU, which is a tough loss. But, they beat Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Mississippi State, all 4 of those teams in that 8-game win streak, or in those 9 games. Only thing is they did lose their leading scorer in Liam Robbins, which is a tough loss for them. And against LSU, they did just lose to them. I just don't know if I believe in LSU being able to put on a string of wins. I don't know, man. Vanderbilt. This is tough. Yeah, I might go with LSU here. LSU can have a little bit of a run, because I still do like that team. It's just they've been horrible this season. Or not. It's not even that they've been like super bad. They've just been really inconsistent consistently, which is it's a weird thing to say, but I feel that it's true. That moves on to Alabama versus Mississippi State. Alabama, best team in the SEC. One of the best teams in all of college basketball. The whole Brandon Miller situation is whatever, but Brandon Miller himself is still an amazing basketball player and going to be a top 3 pick in the draft if everyone figures everything out that's happening with him and all the controversy. But he still is a great talent. And paired alongside Noah Clowney and Jaden Bradley, they're 2 freshmen on the team who are very good. Add Mark Sears to that, who's a little bit of a veteran, along with Javon Quinterly. They have a very, very solid team. And against Mississippi State, they beat them both times they played. Yeah, both times they played them, they won. So yeah, I feel like Alabama got this one, even though Mississippi State is a solid team and Tolu Smith is going to be a little bit of a trouble for Alabama to stop. I still got Bama moving on. Then we got Missouri versus Tennessee. Missouri, been another kind of inconsistent team, but they've definitely been picking it up later in the season. They've won, 6 of their last 8. Only 2 losses against Auburn and Texas A&M. They beat Tennessee in those 6 wins. It was only by 1, but they still did win. You got Kobe Brown on that team. You have Demoy Hodge, DeAndre Golston. They got a solid team over there at Missouri, and I believe that they will be able to beat Tennessee with how inconsistent Tennessee has been. So we got Missouri moving on. Then we got Texas A&M versus Arkansas. This is probably the most interesting matchup that could happen because Arkansas Could they go on a run? They have the star power too, but Texas A&M is just one of those teams that's been very, very good this year and very, very consistent. Recently, their only loss was to Mississippi State, and before that, their last loss was against Arkansas, which is something because they lost to them, and then they're playing them again. But after that, they did come back and beat Arkansas, so they split the series, so cancels it out kind of. Other than that, Texas A&M is coming off of a win against Alabama, which is a huge win for them. They got way to the fourth and Tyrese Bradford, again one of the best guard combos in the nation. It's up there with like the Houston guards, the Texas guards. I think it's like just a tier right below those guys. Yeah, they started off the season pretty rough, and then just when the SEC play started happening, they really just turned it up, and they never turned back. They've been very, very good. And against Arkansas, this is still just one of those hard games to pick because it's like Arkansas has that star power, but I don't know. Texas A&M has been really, really good, so I think I got to go with Texas A&M. And like this tournament, it's weird because it's like the top four teams. It's not going to be that upset heavy. Like the main upset area is right here. If this was Kentucky or if this was Missouri, but it's Texas A&M, and I don't think Texas A&M is one of the teams that's going to get upset. Because it's like, okay, Missouri could lose to Tennessee. That's not that big of an upset. Kentucky, I don't think Kentucky's going to lose to LSU, Vanderbilt, or Georgia. So, like, yeah. So I just spoiled it. I got Kentucky moving on. LSU has a little bit of a run here. They're not moving past Kentucky. Kentucky's picked it up. They were struggling earlier in the season or earlier in the conference play, but they definitely figured it out. Only recent losses at Vanderbilt and Georgia and Arkansas, but they've beaten teams like Tennessee, Auburn, and Arkansas after that, so they're good. They're chilling. Then we got Alabama versus Missouri. As much as I might like Missouri, Alabama's just been too good. I gotta go with Alabama. Brandon Miller, I feel like, is gonna come out and be playing amazing. So, I just gotta go with Alabama. Then we got Texas A&M versus Kentucky. It's another game where it's really close, man. Like Texas A&M has one of the probably hardest paths, or like one of the most like tough paths out of these top four seeds, other than Missouri. Just because it's like either whoever wins this game, it's going to be a tough competition, and then it's most likely Kentucky coming out of this, and if it's not Kentucky, it's probably Vanderbilt. And that's not an easy matchup right there. But against Kentucky, I don't know who's gonna stop Sheway. I mean, Henry Coleman maybe, but I don't think he's not gonna be able to stop Sheway. It's Oscar Sheway. He's a beast. He has not slowed down, but he hasn't been as good as he was last season probably. But he's still a great player. So still a really great presence. So I feel like I might have to go with Kentucky here. Then we got Alabama versus Kentucky in the championship game. And as basic as this is, I got to go with Alabama winning it all. They've just been too good of a team. Brandon Miller's just too good of a player. Alongside that supporting cast, I don't see anyone really stopping Alabama. They don't have that hard of a run anyway. It's really just this championship game that they really have to be on point in. I mean, Missouri obviously is an easy competition, but yeah, I got Alabama winning the SEC. If you want to check out any of my other conference predictions, they're all posted. All the ones that are on right now are posted before this. Just check out the channel, like, subscribe if you feel like it, and other than that, I will see you guys later.